Hello everyone. I decided to make a video on D1, the allegation that was put against him. Now, multiple allegations were put against D1, but I'm gonna go over the main one. See, the other ones, while of a similar nature, were anonymous to my knowledge. So I'm gonna focus on this one right here. Also, all of the circumstances, if I'm correct, are somewhat similar for all of these. So we're going to focus on this particular allegation given by KT Dominant. And so I'm going to read her accusation. I'm going to read his confession because he does confess. And then I'm going to give my take on the situation. All right, and so without further ado, I'm going to start with KT Dominant's post. This is from July 2nd of 2020. She titled it as Smash the Record 2016. And without further ado, I'm going to start reading it. She opens pretty strongly. I was raped. I've never been brave, and I've never spoken out. But I'm hurting. I've been hurting for years, and here's my courage of coming out. November 11th, 2016 was probably one of the worst times of my life. My 18th birthday. I had the pleasure of going to STR, Smash the Record, one of everyone's favorite events. And everything was fine until one party. Lots of dancing, a lot of alcohol, and a lot of bad decisions. I'm not coming out because I want you to be canceled if you are reading this. I can imagine in 3 years that you have grown, and I know that I have grown as a woman since then. I'm coming out because I was never brave when I was younger, and I was scared of you. Scared of judgment. Scared of people not believing me. So I stayed safe under the wings that I knew were safe, and I took your forced apology as a stopping point and as closure. I deserved more. I deserve more. So I'm not sure why I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, D1. But you're not the man who everyone thought you were. I'll try to get this out as quickly as possible. And I'm sorry for mentioning others involved. This is not meant to cause drama. It's just 5 a.m. and I'm up crying because I can't handle the PTSD. I went to a party accompanied by Jesse, better known as MVD. He was my hotel mate along with my friend Haley and my friend Clyde. Many other people I knew in the community were there at the party in that hotel ballroom. Everyone 9 shades of the wind from drinking, dancing, having an amazing time, as I was. MVD always kept a very close eye on me and was always so protecting of me. I was very drunk, which, to the gyms who are reading this and say, you were drunk, you deserved it, you probably consented. Drunk does not equal consent. Drunk will never equal consent. Don't be that guy. The night went on, and more alcohol consumed. I remember D1 coming up to me and asking to dance. We started dancing, like I said, having a great time. And then D1 asked for me to go with him. An outstretched hand, and I went with him. To this day, I pray someone would have grabbed me or him and stopped us. But I followed. I don't remember which hotel room we went to, but I do remember that I had nothing on me. I had a dead phone, no ID, no room key, no diabetic supplies, nothing. I was completely vulnerable in this moment. I should have never walked away from those trying to protect me. The next moment that I remember, I'm somehow having sex with D1. Full penetrative sex. And the next flash that I remember, vomiting. Everywhere. Profusely sick. Alcohol and a blood glucose level probably in the 700s. I was terrified. I don't remember kissing him, getting undressed, none of that. But I was naked and vomiting, and suddenly I then black out completely. In the very early morning, 5, 6 a.m. the next day, I woke up, naked still, disgusting and alone in a random hotel room. Still don't know if it was his because nothing was there. Said previously I had nothing with me but a dead phone. Orlando was 55 degrees or so, if I remember. Cold for Florida. It had rained. I grabbed the clothes that I could find of mine on the floor. I had a pair of shorts, no underwear, and a t-shirt that I threw on, and I walked out. I had no idea what my room number was or anything. I walk around this hotel for 30 minutes. I'm crying at this point. Everyone is still asleep. I somehow made it to the hotel lobby where the front clerk that day, a really sweet brunette lady, was obviously distressed for me as I begged for her to find my room number for me without my ID and gave me a key. She did it without hesitation. I wonder if she knew. I get back to the room. Clyde and MVD are there asleep. I showered, took a nap, and changed. Now we're on to the next day of the tournament. When I walk into that venue the next day, and people all of a sudden won't look at me. They're snickering and laughing and whispering, obviously about me. Oh, and D1. I would have let it all go had this not been the case. You bragged. You told everyone that we screwed and that I was disgusting and vomited all over you, and I was some kind of cheap whore that got passed around the community. I never consented to one thing with you, and you made me out to be some kind of gross teenager. I had just turned 18. It's not hard to think of you as a pedophile, but instead just a rapist. Smash the Record is over. I separate myself from the community the best I can. I still go to verses with my friends and try to move on with my life. Flash forward to me dating MVD. Flash forward to Evo. We're still at this point. I've not spoken to D1, and I've not gotten even a morsel of an apology. So MVD, being the hero he is, tries to mediate a conversation and an apology. You know how hard it is to be a person like me. I don't like drama, confrontation, hurting people, showing vulnerability. To face your abuser and be angry or say what you want to say. Incredibly hard. So I got a forced, half-hearted apology. And we smiled and went on with life and ate dinner, and from that day on, I stayed silent. I stayed silent for the sake of him, the sake of MBD, the sake of the community. My best friend, Haley, known as Hales, who I didn't mention previously because she showed up to Smash the Record late that event, was my rock. Every time I felt disgusting and like I could feel his hands on me, there she was, ready to shower me and bathe me and comfort me. Because that's what a support system does. But after I took that apology that I never should have taken, I silenced myself. I hate young me for silencing myself. I should have been brave. I should have been angry. I deserve closure. I deserve closure now. But D1, for you to tweet yo at 2:30 in the morning as if you're surprised that so many of your friends are like you and are being outed for things, just like you did, you should have stayed silent. Not me. It never should have been me. I am so sorry this was so long. It's 5:15 in the morning and I've been up for hours crying. You can't touch me and you can't hurt me anymore. And if just one person reads this, is inspired to be brave like I should have been all these years, this will all be worth it. Everyone deserves closure. This is me trying to get mine. Thank you. Kate at KT Dominant. And so that is the allegation put against D1. As you can see, yeah, very serious allegation. There's just no getting around it, for sure. You know, and that same day, July 2nd, 2020, D1 posts a tweet longer, and it is his apology to KT Dominant. That's even the title of it. Apology to KT Dominant. So without further ado, we're going to start reading this. To the members of the community, there was a statement with regard to KT Dominant at Smash the Record 2016. There are numerous accounts about what transpired at that event, and sadly, that night, I had zero recollection the next morning. I was at a party with everyone in a ballroom near the venue, and woke up the next day alone in my room and bathroom, being in disarray. I was only able to piece everything together via secondhand accounts. I can't even remember leaving the ballroom, nor when she left my room. I woke up with a splitting headache the next morning, speaking to a smasher who was knocking on my door, and never moved from my room since I had to call the hotel cleaners for the bathroom. This is what makes the situation difficult. I can only take KT Dominant's story, and when MVD reached out to me, I was shocked, as I've never been in a situation like this before. With no memory to go off of, I am only beholden to them and their story. I wasn't aware if we had sex until I was told by MVD what transpired. When I heard what happened, it pained me greatly to hear it, and I honestly was scared beyond belief to even speak to her, since I didn't remember the story. KT Dominant and MVD were going out at the time, and I was fully aware that my story wouldn't carry much weight, so I decided that it was best to validate her feelings and apologize to her directly at a past Evo. I spoke to MVD and ESAM prior to the initial talk and apology. When I spoke to them, we came to the conclusion that we, KT Dominant and myself, were not sober and couldn't remember the situation. This made things extremely nebulous, as I wasn't able to consent as well. The reason I never spoke about the situation was that I can only go off of what other people told me, which is why it was hard for me to initially admit fault when approached by MVD. People made mention that I bragged about it to other people, when this for a fact is not true. I never engaged in he said, she said talk. I remember waking up the next morning, a smasher who will not be named came to my room. He asked, "What happened?" I replied, "I have no idea." What made matters worse was the amount of drama she had to deal with from people who lied and claimed that I spread rumors. This led to her having issues going to locals in her region due to people painting her in a negative light. To reiterate, I couldn't consent to the act on my part, and everyone that knows me knows that I am not that kind of person. MVD was a great mediator and assisted with setting up the opportunity to clear the air. I could not provide a truth beyond what happened prior and after her being in my hotel room. All I could do was validate her feelings and apologize in the end. To the members of the community that always say there are two sides of the story, here is mine. I was dealt with a situation where I can't defend myself and can only accept the realities that others have brought to my attention. I never bragged at her at all to anyone. This was a situation where I couldn't consent and woke up to a nightmare scenario. The story about me spreading rumors maliciously and requesting for evidence to be deleted is not true. I sincerely apologize to KT Dominant for any trauma that was incurred with this entire situation. As a figurehead in the community, I understand that there is no excuse for my behaviors, and I understand that they were wrong. I should have never gotten so drunk that I couldn't remember these events in the first place. I am so sorry to KT Dominant for the pain I caused her as a result of this situation. I spent so much time feeling powerless over the situation and having anxiety because of it, but only now do I realize that the pain you must have been suffering the entire time was far greater. I am also so sorry that our private resolution to the situation was so inadequate. It was never my intention to put you in a situation where you felt silenced and had to suffer in isolation. And I swear that I didn't mean to make you feel disregarded in this fashion. In light of everything that is coming out right now, I beg everyone to please understand this is not who I am. Sincerely, D1. And so there you have it. That is the allegation placed against him in his confession. Again, there were if I saw 2 other anonymous allegations against him. They were somewhat similar to my understanding, where D1 was drinking, with a certain individual, and a situation like this arose. But those individuals were anonymous, and again, I really want to focus on this one. This was the main and the big accusation levied against him. And if I'm correct, this is the only one he actually directly responded to as well. So there you have it. So now that we have gone over the accusation and we've gone over his apology to Katie Dominant and his confession, now I'm going to give my opinion of the situation. Now, I'll start with D1. So D1 mentions that he is or at the time, he was a figurehead in the community. Now, as he mentions, and I agree with this, being a figurehead and someone that people look up to in the community, a well-known figure, he shouldn't have been drinking so recklessly at a Smash-related event in the first place. That is just him setting himself up for failure. Knowing that he has a reputation, and, obviously when you drink so much, again, as he mentions, and I do believe him to a certain degree, he wasn't able to consent because, being drunk, he wasn't even really fully in control of his actions. And so it was very irresponsible of him to do that. Now, there were statements that maybe he spread some drama about her, that he, essentially was talking badly about her. Personally, I kind of believe that those are half true. My guess to the situation is D1 might have made some offhand comments, and these were spun out of control and turned into these huge negative comments. That's just my personal interpretation of the situation. And so, while it wasn't his intention to spread malicious rumors, some offhand comments maybe spot out of control. Again, this is just speculation. This is my personal read on that part. So, personally, if you want to know what I think of those accusations of him spreading negativity, I think they're half true, personally. But regardless, the main point with D1 is he should not have been drinking irresponsibly in the first place. When you're a public figure, a figurehead, it's very important when you're in the public eye, you just have to act a certain way. You can't be drinking recklessly like that. Again, your reputation's on the line. And in D1's case, these accusations ruined him. So I think he was being very irresponsible, and this is just a sad consequence of that. I do. And it's a lesson to be learned for people who either are figureheads or want to be figureheads. Don't drink recklessly. Don't get extremely drunk and put yourself in a position where you take advantage of somebody, or you do something stupid, or you get taken advantage of. And so that's my opinion on the D1 case. I'm not on D1's side. Next, I'm going to give my opinion on KT Dominant. Not so much her confession, her allegation. It's pretty straightforward. But more so on my opinion on, her being at the party and whatnot. I'll explain. Now, before I start, she mentioned something really interesting. She mentions, she was very drunk, and she's like, to the gyms who are going to read this, you're going to say you were drunk, you deserved it, which, of course not. No. Just because someone is drunk, that's not an excuse to take advantage of them. Like, it is true, you shouldn't put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of, but that doesn't justify someone taking advantage of you. It's like, imagine if you put your wallet on a table, right? That doesn't justify somebody stealing your wallet and your money and your Social Security. I mean, you shouldn't have put it on the table, but still, it doesn't change the fact that they're a thief. So, no, of course she didn't deserve that. Absolutely not. Anyway, she mentioned you were drunk, you probably consented. Now, this gets a little bit more complicated in that. Now, she mentions drunk does not equal consent, which I do agree with. However, the trouble comes up. Now, D1 mentions that he also didn't consent. So, when two individuals are both drunk, how do you know if consent was there or not? If they're both drunk, how do you know? See, that makes the situation incredibly tricky. So that's just to cover that. So drunk doesn't equal consent when it's one person. But when you have two drunk individuals and neither can correctly recall, the full account of events, that's a really, really strange gray area. And so, what you think about that is what you think about that. I'll get to that a little bit later, what I think about that. But I just want to mention that. Now, she mentions that, anyway, continuing on. KT Dominant mentions that at the time, she had just turned 18. Now, Smash the Record 2016 took place in Florida at this time. November of Florida, in fact, as she even herself mentions. Now, here's the thing. There's something she doesn't mention. I'll bring it up, though. So, Florida's legal drinking age is 21. I'm actually going to pop something up on the screen so you can see it for yourself. Their legal drinking age is 21. And with the exception of religious events where maybe they drink wine or whatnot, with religious events being an exception, anyone under 21 is not to drink in Florida. Now, there are some states that make an exception, say, well, if you're with a responsible adult, then you can. Florida is not one of those states. So, the harsh reality that KT Dominant doesn't mention is she mentions that she was drunk, but she shouldn't have been drinking at all to begin with. She was illegally drinking. And I'll be honest, that actually isn't a big deal to me, her illegally drinking. That's not the issue. The issue is, as she mentions, she was very drunk. That, to me, is the problem. See, I'll explain. So, you're under 21. You already know you're not supposed to be drinking. You are at a Smash-related event. So, already, I'm 18. I really shouldn't be drinking at all. If you're going to drink, and you know already that you're underage, don't get wasted. Think about it. What if a cop gets involved? They're going to say, hey, how old are you? I'm 18. The legal age is 21, and you're wasted on top of that. So what I'm saying essentially is KT Dominant shouldn't have been drinking in the first place, let alone getting wasted drunk. I am speaking from a legal perspective, but in my personal opinion, if someone under the legal drinking age is going to drink, don't get wasted. Just don't do it. See, in my opinion, I think it's okay for, obviously, with the law, I'm not going against the law. But if I could change the law to make it so people who are 18 could drink, I would. But people like KT Dominant who, they're 18, they get completely wasted drunk. That's why the drinking age is 21. 19, 20-year-olds who drink irresponsibly. So, I'm going on a little bit. My point is, she shouldn't have been drinking in the first place. And she, again, legally, she had no right to drink. She doesn't mention that. Why would she? But I think that for future events, for Smash events, we really need to keep alcohol away from minors. We really need to keep alcohol away from minors and people who are under the legal drinking age. Because to me, that is just opening up all these opportunities for disaster. And again, no one is saying that she deserve what happened to her. Absolutely not. But still, it doesn't change the fact of how irresponsible it was for her and for him to drink so recklessly like they did. Especially for him, because he was a public figure, but also, especially for her, because she was 3 years away from the legal drinking age anyways. And on top of that, she decided to get wasted. So I think they're both wrong in that sense. Now, the last thing I want to go on with my opinion on this is, now again, all these might be hot takes. If you disagree, it's fine. These are just hot takes. I might even change my mind on these moving forward. But at the point of me recording, this is my take on this. Now, my final thing. D1 mentions that he also didn't consent because they were both drinking. And again, that's a really tricky gray area. When two people are drinking irresponsibly, they're really drunk, there is some sort of sexual interaction. What's the community supposed to do? Again, it's a he said, she said. Neither of them remember clearly, so it is possible that she consented, or he consented, or they both consented and just don't remember. What are you supposed to do? And it is a tricky, there's no nice way to put it. It's a gray area. It's a tricky area. My current opinion on a situation like this is pretty simple. I think that if two Smash players are drinking irresponsibly, and they're both drunk, and they can't remember what happened, and they're giving conflicting details, I'm of the opinion that they both should be banned. Maybe not a permanent ban, but I'm of the opinion that if you're drinking recklessly like that, and you're interacting with other people, and there's conflict, and ban them both. That's my opinion. So for a situation like this, again, how long the ban, that's a different story. Depends on the context. But personally, I'm a big fan of banning both of them. You both were wrong for recklessly drinking the way you were doing it. And again, you both admit that you have fuzzy memory if you can even remember anything. Spotty memory at best. And so, unfortunately, because you yourself admit that your memory was at best spotty, what you're doing is you're revealing to us that you are an unreliable narrator. What you have to realize for KT Dominant is her story, once she got really drunk, she is an unreliable narrator. See, D1's like, all right, I was just wasted. I'm not even going to pretend like I knew. But KT Dominant isn't, I'm not saying that she's lying, but you have to admit, and she even admits she was very drunk and spotty memory. She is an unreliable narrator. And that's the issue that comes up when you have people who are drinking recklessly and then there's a conflict that pops up. So that's my opinion. I think that when a situation like this arises, I think they both should be banned. At best, they're both wrong for drinking irresponsibly. Again, whether it's a month ban, a year ban, maybe you want to give D1 a lifetime ban, you want to give her a month ban, fine, that's fine. But I do think that they both need some sort of punishment. That's the point. Personally, I don't really want people who are going to drink recklessly at Smash events or events related to Smash events. I don't want people like that in the community. People are going to drink recklessly and make other people uncomfortable, or maybe do something the next day. Oh, I don't remember consenting, but they were also drunk. I think that Smash needs to grow up and be more responsible. And I think that kind of kiddie reckless behavior, like you can do that at home. But when it's a Smash-related event with a bunch of Smash players, you need to have a certain responsibility about yourself, especially in D1's case as a public figure. So, I think I've gone on enough about my opinion. This was longer than I intended for it to be. But that is how I feel about the situation. Again, I might change my mind. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'm open to changing my mind about this. So if you disagree and you say, all right, well, you're wrong on this, I'm going to explain why you're wrong on this. I'm going to convince you that you're wrong and here's what you should believe. Go ahead and lay your case. I'm actually really, like with the Zero situation, I have my mind kind of set on that to a certain extent. But with this situation, I'm really open-minded. Maybe there's some things I'm not keeping in mind, some factors or whatever. So feel free to let me know. I'm all open for a discussion. With that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you at least found my opinion to be a little bit interesting, even if you really disagreed with it. And with that, I hope you have a good day, and hopefully you'll see some of my future content. All right, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.